Hello, and welcome back to Warped, the completely unnecessary Star Trek podcast, where we provide live audio commentary tracks to Star Trek The Next Generation episodes. My name is Matt.
I'm Shawn.
I'm Jake.
Aaron.
And I'm Minwin.
I'm May.
Yay!
Hey.
Yeah, that's okay. I can fix that. You can just cut that from put it right in where it belongs.
Nice.
We are watching Season 3, Episode 14 of Star Trek The Next Generation. It's called A Matter of Perspective. And Shawn will punch the triangle.
I got 45 minutes and 49 seconds on the clock, and I'm punching the triangle. 3, 2, 1, punch.
Punch.
Yeah, off.
Hey,
Starting out with some hot Peyton action.
who doesn't love a television episode that starts with a painting class in
Right?
outer space?
Look at that. Love
Yes.
his
Some
smock.
Luke's like leisure wear. Like his
Paint.
his art. Is it his art smock, or do you
Yeah, I
like
think it's his
he
art
wears
smock.
that?
Ooh la
Oh.
la.
Looks like he borrowed it from Dr. Crusher.
It's our second week in a row with side butt. We had some side butt.
Yeah.
Cute.
Oh, yay.
They're in the
Female
side
this
butt
time.
storylines.
Mm.
Do you think that he only wears that in art class, though, or
I
do you
think
think
so.
it's just one of his
I think
regular?
that's what he wears in art
That's his
class.
smock.
That's his
I feel like
"I'm an artist" shirt.
Yeah.
I'm dressed like an artist.
Jean-Luc
I
has
feel
a lot of hobbies, man. Like,
wouldn't you?
It's a Renaissance man. What you want?
Yeah,
It is
Sure.
a Renaissance.
it's admirable.
But also, to be honest, his painting was average.
And that's
Well,
what
that's about
Data's
what
gonna
it's
tell
about.
him.
That's about what Data's about to tell him. This is ridiculous. What Jean-Luc says to Data is, "Feel free to go around and talk about
That a-
everybody else's paintings."
Analyze
Is that a
these people's
violin
paintings.
or a?
Like, if I was in this class, I wouldn't want Data's like
Yeah.
observations on my
Yeah.
painting, right? But these people seem fine just letting him like talk about their paintings, mostly because he's being nice, I guess, so they can set up the rule of 3 joke where
Yeah.
the Jean-Luc's painting is bad and Data says it's bad. And then Jean-Luc gets mad at Data.
Yeah,
Jean-Luc doesn't
Jean-Luc
handle
goes
criticism.
fishing.
Jean-Luc does not handle criticism well in this moment. He's like, "Okay, Data, thank you."
Yeah. I didn't like the criticism part of art class. That used to piss me off.
I like his phraseology. Yikes, Mr. Data. Yeah, get out of here, dude. But
Yeah,
I feel like
how many of Jean-Luc's hobbies that we know of can we list? He likes painting.
yep.
He's learning. to paint.
Horseback riding.
Horseback riding.
Oh,
Horseback
Yeah.
riding.
The time.
He reads
Like Jack-
Shakespeare.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he likes theater. He likes going to concerts because we see him
Yes.
going to like Data's,
Yeah.
like straight set or whatever.
I think we've seen him fencing, right?
He
Yes.
does fence. That's how he gets his work out is by fencing. He's an
Yeah.
archaeology buff. He likes
Yeah.
history and archaeology. Yeah, you're right. He does have a lot of hobbies. Like, he's making me feel a little unaccomplished now that I think about it.
It's like you don't have to pad your resume anymore. It's like your application to Starfleet was approved, Jean-Luc.
You're already the captain. I mean, come on.
and he has a vineyard.
You know that you never see
Oh.
Jean-Luc doing nothing.
Yep.
Like, you never see him just watching television. Like, do they
No.
even have television in the future? He's always doing something. Even if he's just reading, he's reading like a real book, not
Yep.
Yeah.
Trash.
not gossip online or whatever.
He's not reading the John Grisham of the future.
Yeah, you never see Jean-Luc on Twitter just being like, "Oh, I hate these people," which
Yeah,
is my
that's true.
primary
Yeah.
mode of recreation.
He'll
On Twitter.
drink some tea once in a while, but usually he's thinking pretty hard.
And
Yeah.
usually he's drinking tea. He's like trying to solve a problem, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
the wheels are turning in his head when he's drinking his tea.
Oh, he's also an amateur detective.
He likes cosplaying in the holodeck.
Yeah, that's right.
Detective.
Dicks.
Yeah. He likes playing
Mystery
Dixon
buff.
Hill.
And he's a vintner.
Well,
Well,
His family owns a winery, but
yeah, he doesn't really get involved till later, I think.
Oh.
that's not really his part of his life at the moment. But
so
yes,
we're watching season 3, episode 14, A Matter of Perspective. Original air date February 10th, 1990. The widow of respected scientist Dr. Nell Aggar accuses Riker of seducing her and killing her husband. Rather than turn Riker over for unfavorable trial, the Enterprise reconstructs the facts.
Well, I'm sure he's guilty on one count.
What do you think, Aaron?
I'll say 7-4.
May, did you watch the episode?
Yep.
What did you say?
7.
I think that's good. 7.2.
Ooh, wow. We're really hitting a target here.
I'm going to say 7.5.
Man?
Butt to butt, 69.
Well, 6.8.
Oh, just
We're all
barely
lost.
missed it.
You were all too
Everybody
high.
over?
Yeah.
We were all over.
Yeah.
It was the closest.
Oh, I think it's slightly better than that.
I think it's a good episode.
I don't
it's
just.
cool.
It's not a great episode, but
But it's like a murder mystery thing.
yeah,
It's Rashomon.
it's okay. It is Rashomon. It is the exact idea of Rashomon, which they've taken into the future. But yeah, it's. I mean, when you call the episode a matter of perspective, like you know that's what they're
Right.
doing, right?
Sure.
Oh, it's going to be all about how they all have different memories of this same incident. And they have to like solve the crime. It's a little bit of a murder mystery. It's got some weird Riker stuff in it that we're going to just have to get into.
Whoa.
Very Me
Wow.
Too.
Oh.
It is, yeah,
is.
it kind of is. It kind of is, but it's about a false accusation. So it
He
kind of
said,
sends the wrong message because, in this case, the accusation isn't true.
Well,
Shawn,
I mean,
that space station that they blew up in the opening,
Yes,
that was like the regular one
it is.
model, wasn't it?
That is correct.
I thought it was, but I wasn't
That was
sure.
in the IMDb trivia. Hey, Aaron,
Oh, speaking
do you
of
remember what
weird-looking
regular
aliens,
one was?
Get ready, Aaron.
I don't even remember what that was.
A
regular one?
No, that's not a fair question.
Is that
That's
is
not-
that like one of those fiber pills?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis I think, is the spokesperson for regular one.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think of this guy's forehead?
Let's take a look. Not bad actually.
Not bad,
There's something pleasing about it.
Mm.
That guy's a fairly famous that guy.
There's an even better that guy in this episode.
Yes,
when,
there is. But he's pretty
when
good
we
one
meet
too.
the husband.
Yeah,
Is that Craig T. Nelson?
it is not.
No,
His ridges are kind of like the opposite of the
There was
Klingon ridges.
something Nelson, and I was like, Craig T. Nelson.
Opposite. How so? Like the
All the Klingon ridges are going in, and all his ridges are going out.
no, he's an outie.
Yeah.
Morphs an innie. They really went overboard with the hairspray. Like I don't think any of these
Yeah.
hairs are gonna move. Actually,
Right?
now that I see them all in line.
yeah, it's typical of this of the species.
Do you
because
think
the other-
that's just how their hair naturally is, or do they have to style it that way?
No, it's got to be like the style of this
Okay.
of that particular society. Like
Maybe
that's
whatever space goop.
right. Whatever they use. Wesley's in this one. We didn't have any Wesley
Oh yeah,
last
he
week.
was another one.
Nope. He wasn't in that episode, and he could have been. There were scenes where there was a guy sitting in that chair, but sometimes it's just not Wesley for whatever reason. Maybe Will Wheaton had school that day.
I was gonna say tutor.
Yeah, he reminds me of like a famous director, like an art director, Cronenberg, or I don't know.
Yeah, I could see he's got a little bit of a
does.
Cronenberg-y vibe. That's not the craziest thing you've said.
I actually haven't said very much crazy recently.
No, I know. I just mean like in general, when you
No.
say things like that, I have to
Yeah.
like go. I have to take several steps to get to you. But this time I only had to take one step to get to you, so it worked great.
That wasn't an invitation either, man. Don't feel like pressure.
Yeah, I was
I
not
mean,
inviting like
I-
more.
I was starting to feel like I wasn't delivering, so
No. You feel free to just stay in first gear, and
Yeah.
that's fine.
I don't know, guys. I kind of like it when men get a little wacky.
I need you to kick it up. I'll let you know.
okay. I'm like with Shawn right now. I'm floating off in outer space.
Yeah,
So, speaking of Rashomon, that is my excuse to talk about my new favorite video game, which is called Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh.
So, yeah, Min got it for me for my birthday. It was my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy
It
birthday.
is so yes, thank you, everybody. It's when this episode airs, it will have been a few months ago, but thank you. Yeah, this game is super cool, you guys. It's like a Kurosawa movie. It's set in like 13th century Japan, and you play a samurai, and it's kind of like Red Dead Redemption. Like you have to ride your horse around and like solve missions and kill baddies and all that. But it's just the whole vibe of it is super cool, and the way it looks is amazing. It might be the best looking video game I've ever seen. It's really beautiful. So I've been liking that game a lot. Ghost of Tsushima.
Awesome.
It has a Kurosawa setting in the settings where if you click it on, it becomes black and white, and it has all like scratches, so it looks like old film grain.
Film
So it
grain.
makes the game look like a 1950s Kurosawa movie.
Nice.
Which I turned on as a novelty for like 30 seconds, and I was like, this is distracting. I have to go back to normal mode on this game. Anyway.
Yeah, I hear it's a very good game. So.
Recommendation. That was a that was an early recommendations corner.
Oh, well, you could take us right into recommendations corner if you want. Oh,
Let's save it.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless you have something you want to talk about. Deanna's in her teal dress.
Teal.
Yeah.
I really noticed there's a close up of her this week where I really noticed because that thing is off center intentionally, it really does make her left boob significantly more prominent than her right boob.
Sure.
And I guess I never really noticed before, except we talked about it a few weeks ago when we first saw that outfit.
Yeah.
And this time I really noticed it. I really zoomed right in on Marina Sirtis.
A lefty.
Old lefty, she calls it.
Old lefty.
Old reliable.
These are sentences I never thought I'd say before we started this podcast. I spent a lot of time looking at Marina Sirtis's left breast today.
Although, are we talking about her left or the right one that's more exposed?
No, it's the left one that's more exposed.
Well, it's our left.
It's her
Stage.
left. You have to imagine your
Her left.
Her left. Okay.
Yeah.
The one that's more.
It's the one that's less exposed.
It's less
The one
exposed.
that's less exposed is more pushed up. and
Okay,
out.
now see that there's some ambiguity there.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I follow you. Yeah.
Yeah. Got it.
I don't know. There's some value in just letting it hang out too. I mean,
Yeah.
be free.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, totally.
Producer Jacob is all about letting it hang.
This is their TV. You're talking about do they watch TV? This is their TV.
Yeah, I guess
Oh,
you're
right.
right. Like the holodeck is kind of what they do. It's more it's interactive TV, but I guess
Yeah.
it's TV. But even that is like sometimes you don't want to interact,
That's
right?
more work than I really want to do.
Sometimes you just want to sit on the fucking couch and watch television, and that doesn't seem
I
to
couldn't
be a
date
thing.
hard.
I'm
That doesn't
sure
seem to
there's.
be a thing that exists in Star Trek. Like you never see them like watching a movie or anything. Whenever they're doing something,
Well-
it's holodeck related.
But they are also military, and none of us are. So maybe
But I
You think
imagine
people in the military
have-
don't watch television? Because
I don't think they watch it that often. Not as often as we do.
I disagree.
I bet there are a bunch of lower decks people who book holodeck time and they just go in there and they like holodeck up a couch and
And
they
a TV
watch a
show.
big screen TV.
Oh,
And
look,
people
he's
get
that
really
guy.
pissy at them because hey, you can do anything on a holodeck and all you're doing is watching TV and just like hey, that's what I want to do. It's
Yeah,
my
right.
time.
You know, you are making an excellent point, Jake, because we forget that these are. It's not so much that they are military, but
These are
they're
high
very
rank.
high functioning military.
Yeah.
right? So these are people who live very disciplined lives. So maybe they don't just dick around on the couch watching TV.
But, there
But
are
you're
people in
absolutely right.
society that do.
Those lower decks fuckers are absolutely just watching
200
shit
years
on
in
their
the future, and they're
on their
still
pad.
binge watching Seinfeld.
Yeah, Mariner on Lower Decks is for sure watching TV on her computer screen when she's supposed to be working. She's watching YouTube videos of cats or something, but she's not doing what she's supposed to be doing.
Don't you think there are holodeck programs where you can just be like the extra, or you can be like you can just sit on a bench and watch things float by?
Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah.
That's
Don't
even
have
more
to do it.
interaction than we want to deal with.
Oh
Yeah.
I don't want to have to put on an outfit and like go down to holodeck.
You don't have to.
I want to stay in my
I
room.
want to sit. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. You want that screen
And
between
sometimes-
you.
And sometimes when I go to 10 Forward, I want to sit quietly and drink. I don't want Guinan coming over being like, hey, what's happening over here? Like, can I just sit quietly and nurse a drink in this bar without having to interact with any of you fuckers? Apparently not. What we're saying is none of us are cut out for Starfleet.
Yeah. This is the other actor you were talking about, right? The other actor, that's that actor.
Yeah. So the guy
Yeah.
who's playing the husband, I had to look him up because I watched this yesterday and I knew him, but I couldn't place him. And so I had to look him up. He plays Hector Salamanca on Breaking Bad and also on Better Call Saul.
Oh,
He's the guy in the wheelchair in Breaking
That's
Bad
right.
who can't talk and just rings the bell to indicate his answers. Do you guys remember that guy from Breaking Bad?
Yep.
That's that actor. I don't watch Better Call Saul, but I guess he's in that too. But I haven't seen that. I just knew him from Breaking Bad.
Fantastic.
I know him
Breaking
as
Bad.
the landlord in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Oh yeah, my memories of that movie are dulled by time and substance abuse.
And desire. So is this the
Here's
woman
what
that?
About
This room is fun. Check this
he,
out.
Courtney Cox is in it, right?
Yes.
He talks out of his butt.
Yes.
That's Ace Ventura, right?
Yes.
And is it like it's like weirdly transphobic or
It
something?
is
at the
not
beginning?
weirdly transphobic. It is transphobic.
Okay. So those are the three things I remember about Ace Ventura.
Shawn Young plays a man who's pretending to be a woman.
Oh, I
okay.
forgot about that
He's
whole.
the bad guy.
I
Say
haven't
Shawn.
seen it. Oh.
Sean Young triggered something
Yes.
in my mind, and now I kind of remember that. So
Anyways,
not a great movie, Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
no.
I like the scene where he's delivering the package. Isn't
Yeah.
that from that?
That really the best scene in the movie.
Yeah.
That's the opening.
that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
I have mixed feelings on Jim Carrey
Hmm.
as a performer. Sometimes I really like him. Truman Show was on the other night on
He's
Turn,
great.
Oh, that's a good one.
and that movie is terrific, and he's great in it. But he's real hit and miss with me. Like when he's great, but when he's not, it's
Ace
painful.
Ventura never did anything for you.
I mean, I think I probably saw it and thought it was funny at the time,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but it's one of those movies that's so
You just go
disposable.
back to it.
that- yeah, it's a one and done. Like you've seen it, and
Right.
it's not the kind of movie that makes you go, boy, I really want to put that one, in again and watch that. At least not for me. I'm sure for some people.
I watched it a lot.
Mm.
Oh, okay. So you proved my point. Sean is the Ace Ventura guy, and I am not.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Jim Carrey movie? What's your favorite Jim Carrey movie where he's being funny, not like Truman Show or Eternal Sunshine or one of those movies, but like
One of the goofy ones.
you have a favorite goofy
I
Jim
think
Carrey?
The Mask.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to say Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not a fan of Dumb and Dumber. I'll be honest
I liked
with you.
it back in the day.
I think he's the least funny part about it. I
Yeah,
think
it's
that movie's
really-
only
it's
good
really
because
Jeff
of Jeff
Daniels, right?
Daniels. Yeah, I don't think Jim Carrey's funny in that movie.
Yeah, I kind of now that I'm saying it, I think I agree with you.
Yeah.
I liked him on In Living Color.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That kind of seems like the best thing he ever did as a comedian, right?
I will vouch for Ace Ventura. I think they're both funny movies. I think the sequel's better than people think it is.
Bold.
There's some funny bits in that movie.
I don't think I've seen it the whole way through.
I
But
think
I think The Mask is his best performance in comedy, just like goofy comedy.
yeah.
That's also what's her name's best performance.
Cameron Diaz.
Yep.
Cameron
Really?
Diaz's all-time best performance is in the first Charlie's Angels movie, where she is absolutely
Really?
perfect playing a ditzy blonde secret agent. Yeah, she's hilarious in it.
Yeah, you might be right.
And
What about There's Something About Mary?
I hate There's Something About Mary.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's Something
really?
About Mary might be my least favorite movie I've ever seen in a movie theater. I may have told this story before on the podcast, but I went and saw that movie with my friend Mia. I guess we were in college when that came out, or just out of college when it came out.
I think just out of college.
We went and saw that movie, and it was a packed, full theater.
Yeah,
It was a huge hit.
so much buzz about it. Yeah.
And every person, I swear to God, was laughing their heads off like they had never seen anything else like it. And Mia and I were sitting there like, we were the only two people in the theater who weren't laughing. And we were just looking at each other like, what are we missing right now? Like, something is happening, and we're clearly not like on the wavelength of whatever is happening right now. It was kind of a weird experience to be in a theater that was, people were so clearly just delighted by what they were seeing, and we were just like, this is not working on me at all. It was really plain. It was horrible.
It's sort of Twilight Zone-y.
Yeah, it was just like, maybe I just don't know what funny is anymore. I mean, but I don't think that movie's funny. Sorry.
I
Sorry to the lovers.
I'm not bothered by that one.
used to think I sort of changed on it through time. I now get why you don't think it's funny, and I think I agree with you on it.
I also just don't even really remember it that well. So maybe I was, maybe if I were to, there's so many movies though. The idea that I would ever sit down again and
Right. Watch that.
give There's Something About Mary a second shot. Like, I don't have that many years left, and there's a lot of movies that I'm
Certainly.
I don't have the time to be going back.
You're gonna be watching Paddington 2. Why would I be watching There's Something About Mary?
I mean, that's a pretty good life philosophy right there.
Yeah.
If there's anything you could be watching, but you could also be watching Paddington 2, you should probably be watching Paddington 2.
Yeah.
You don't have stock in Paddington 2, do you? It's like you've really been.
I wish I did.
2. Okay.
I wish I did.
Yeah.
We should watch it for our watch together.
Absolutely.
That would be so
That's a-
wholesome.
Great idea.
Yep.
But there's no.
If you want to hear 2 hours of podcast of just me going, look how good that movie is. you
Oh my
guys."
gosh!
If
It's gonna
you
be
recall our last
It'll
Starfighter,
just
Yeah.
start things too
all
again.
over again.
except that this time Aaron will be on board too.
Yeah.
It'll just be 2 hours
I
of
don't
Aaron going, "This is amazing, guys."
Of me gasping.
I mean, it makes me want to go watch it again right now. You
All
right.
know, like
Yeah. Have a good one.
as soon as we're done recording, I might go watch Paddington 2.
Do it.
I
Mine is-
think that it is hard to thread the needle of what movie to pick for the movie episodes, because when we pick something we love, we just talk about how much we love it.
Love it. Right.
Yeah.
We pick something we don't love or are confused by, like when we watch Dune.
It's like we don't know what to say about it.
It leaves us kind of weirdly silent.
We're like, yeah, so
Which
much
is
fascinated.
bad. Well, we should check the analytics, see which of our movie episodes is most listened to, and then.
Trust those analytics. I look at them and they are bewildering to me.
Yeah.
And it may be because I was a North Campus guy and I was an
sure.
English major, and numbers have never really been my friends. But I look at those numbers and I'm like, I don't get it. Like,
I know that The Last Starfighter did very well.
Oh.
yeah, and those are fun episodes actually to listen to, just because we're having a really good time watching the movie. But I think it translates into the podcast. So,
Although one thing that was very perplexing is I think the second one did better for some reason, and I cannot explain that.
yeah, why would you only? That means some people only listen to part 2.
Yeah.
Maybe they liked it so much they had to listen to it again. Did we have a good bit? Do we have a good bit in there? I don't know.
I don't remember.
You'll have to listen to it a third.
So here's this creepy Riker stuff that we kind of need to start talking about. So does anybody want a quick plot summary who hasn't seen this episode?
I have seen it and I still need it. Like, I have questions for the end. I'll put it that way.
They have gone to this space station that's orbiting this planet, and they've gone there to meet this scientist. And that guy, the guy from Breaking Bad, is the scientist. And they're trying to they're basically just there to kind of poke their heads in and see how he's doing on this research that he's supposed to be making for them. So Riker and Geordi beam over there just to say hi. And when they beam back, the space station explodes, killing the scientist. And Riker has been accused, because he was the last person on the station, Riker has been accused of killing this scientist right before he beamed back out. The tall guy in the flock of seagulls hair is like the investigator from the planet. And he's come up here to try and figure out what's going on. And the way that they've decided to do this trial is each person involved basically downloaded their memories into the holodeck. So the first time we watched this scene, we watched Riker's version of it, where Riker's like a hero and doesn't do anything wrong. And it's the wife
comes on to him.
It's the wife who comes on to him. Now we're watching the wife's testimony, essentially. It's using holodeck as court testimony is what it is. And now we're watching her version of the story, which is that Riker is like coming on to her and going to rape her. It's a real actor's feast for Jonathan Frakes, because he gets to play all of these different versions of Riker. And look how that's clearly not Jonathan Frakes. Wide shot. I don't know who that person was. That's Jonathan Frakes. That guy wasn't.
I didn't notice. He's
so
still
it's called a matter of perspective, because we're seeing all of these scenes multiple times from different witnesses to the events. So it's a sci-fi take on Rashomon.
Which is it's a good thing we've been able to like chat about different this and that during this episode, because seeing the same scenes replay out slightly differently does not make for very compelling. I don't know.
Yeah, Shawn, I didn't love this one. I understand what they're going for, but Riker didn't do it.
Right.
They're not going to have an episode where the first officer turns out to be the villain. Yeah. So it's just a matter of them.
What's the real truth?
Figuring it out. What's really
how
going
is
on.
Riker not the person who did it?
Right. And Deanna's basically like, look, I know you didn't do it, but we don't have any evidence to prove it.
Yeah, nobody on the crew really doubts Riker's position for a second. So,
which is good. I don't think you would want it to be like,
yeah.
It would be weird if Worf was like, I totally thought you murdered that guy. My bad.
My respect for you has increased.
Right. The Klingon warrior way would have been to kill that man, so I simply assumed that was what you did. And then there's this little side plot which really isn't side plot. It's really tied into the main plot, but there's this weird thing, radiation popping up on the ship, and they're trying to figure out where the radiation is coming from. But it's all connected to the
scientist.
Yeah. I think this episode it has ambition. Like, you know what I mean? It's trying to do something cool. I just don't think the execution of it is very good. Partly because I think the guest actors aren't. The woman who plays the wife isn't quite as good as you would hope that she would be, for a sort of a pretty crucial role. So partly I think it's a guest star problem, and partly I think it's just not as well written as the idea. The idea was good, but the writing to it.
They had to spend all the money on Salamanca.
Yeah, they had to spend a lot of money on Hector Salamanca.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's doing a good job for sure.
He is doing a good job. It's very funny with the 3 times that they see the fight scene. See that little shot when Beverly kind of puts her eyes down made me think, oh, Beverly does think maybe
Kind of thinks he might be guilty.
I was like, Beverly's not 100% on Riker in this episode.
You know, she had some conversations with Deanna during this. Are you sure, girl?
You have to imagine that Beverly has had to give women like the next day after pills after dates with Riker, right?
Yeah,
she knows what Riker's all about.
Plus the chlamydia creams.
I'm sure Riker's brought some stuff back with him from a shore leave.
Yeah, trips to Risa. He's come back with some weird
shots for that.
Yeah,
STD.
Blue bumps in certain places.
Yeah, it's like Slurpees.
This is the future. They've got shots for that. They'll just they'll teleport you back without that. They've got a number of solutions.
No, you're
take number 3.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right because sex has no consequences in Star Trek land.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Again, neither of those were the right actors in that wide shot. But in the first time you see that scene, Riker just sort of steps aside so that he doesn't, because it's the nice Riker version. Sexy Riker punches the old man out. In the old man's version of the story, the old man is the one who punches Riker out.
Hell yeah.
I like this Bride of Frankenstein hair here. That's a bold look.
What do you think? She's got a salad spinner under there that's wrapped hair around. But that's not all hair. That's a foam something.
Yeah, that's a piece for sure. Well, back in the day, I'd seen a fancy photo of like someone from the 20s with this fancy coif or something, and then I was reading that they would use like some sort of frame underneath that they would drape the hair over to help get that volume. So yeah, there's something under there.
Cool.
Kind of want to play waste paper basketball with that hair.
Just toss it in.
It would be kind of just.
Yeah, what if it was if it had a hole on the top? Yeah,
it sort of did.
It does.
It's a little indentation.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yes.
assumed it was flat across the top.
No, they tucked it in.
It's got a slight indention.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's quite a hole.
It's a caldera.
It's a bucket.
You definitely could swing things in it.
Yeah. Now it makes me wonder if Kid and Play had a bucket on top, but no, I think it was flat top, right?
Oh, that was all him.
Yeah.
Back in the captain's quarters.
Shawn, is it this week's episode or was it in last week's and we missed it, where they both put their feet up on Data's thing at the same time? Did you notice it?
No, I didn't notice it.
I watched last week's and this week's back to back yesterday, and in one of them, Riker and Picard both do the Riker maneuver.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was last week.
I meant to bring it up when I saw it, but I missed it. But
Well,
it was
drink, everybody.
Yeah.
Oh,
Each take a side.
this
Which
is almost like
brings
a family
us-
photo right here.
Which brings us to Corrections Corner. Jake,
Oh,
Correction corner.
these are very short. I just remembered that I had some left over from the last time that I didn't use. These are corrections from episode 113, Where No One Has Gone Before. Aaron, you'll recall Where No One Has Gone Before, because it's the one where Picard has tea with his mom in the hallway of the Enterprise. Is that ring? No.
Hard has huh?
Memo.
Got it.
It's the one where they're having sort of like fantasies of their of unreal things happening on the ship. Worf has a pet in that episode. Worf recollects his childhood pet, which is kind of a gross, looking thing that's
Dog
got
thing.
a bunch of prosthetics all over it. It's called a targ.
Hard.
Yes.
And we wondered if that was supposed to be the same kind of animal that Christopher Lloyd's Klingon captain in Star Trek 3 has.
I remember asking that, yeah.
And it's not. Targs in Star Trek are more like pigs. And the thing that Christopher Lloyd has is meant to be more like a dog. So Worf had a pet pig, not a pet dog. And that's what a Targ is.
Wow.
What kind of animal did they actually use on the show? Was it a pig that showed up in like a costume?
Was it a real animal or was it just a prosthetic or something?
I thought it was like a real dog they dressed up or something.
It might have been. It may have been an actual dog, but in Star Trek world, it's supposed to be more like a pig.
Got it.
We told Aaron, Where No One Has Gone Before is like the third or fourth episode of the whole series. And we were really trying to sell Aaron on it at the time. Because that first season, you'll recall, is rough. And so we asked, we were saying to Aaron, just, you are going to end up liking this show. That is what we said to her. I said, we will check back in with you later, and we will learn that you have started to like the show. So the time has come, Aaron. We're now in season 3. This is the good stuff. This is as good as this show ever gets, pretty much. Do you like Star Trek The Next Generation?
I do.
Wow, nice.
There was a slight hesitation there.
No, I don't.
I wanted to get you guys like worried for a second.
She was creating tension. It's good.
Yeah.
It's the Romulan in her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that. I know you really only watch the Guinan episodes, but I'm glad to hear that you're liking.
Do you like this more than the original show?
As a following along what's actually happening, yes. But there is something about the visuals and the characters of the original that I do have a fondness for.
Sure.
In terms of actually like following the plot and getting like meaning out of it, this is far more meaningful stuff.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I think that's a good answer.
Mm-hmm. So they've come to they figured out what's going on, haven't they?
Yes.
This is basically Jean-Luc has put a PowerPoint presentation together.
And the solution was?
It has to do with the thing that the doctor was working on. Is
so it meant
causing
that
the
it
radiation.
all actually happened?
No, that he accidentally killed himself is what you're going to learn. He was trying to kill Riker and accidentally blew up the thing.
But then what about all of these different perspectives?
They don't really get into it.
Oh.
Yeah, they don't really explain.
They certainly never
They don't explain it.
They never explain what the wife's involvement really was, and they just leave it.
Because
she didn't have any.
They suggest the fact that she was kind of in on like the fact that he wanted to give her the finer things in life. Because
sort of, but
she gives a pretty convincing, performance that she thinks Riker killed him.
Well, here's the thing. They go through all the different versions and they don't really address why they're so different. They just figure out what actually made those things blow up.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
They just focus on the one thing, the things that are all in common.
But the other thing too is like back when they showed like the wife's version and Riker's talking to Troy. Like, Troy is actually like, I didn't see any deception in her. And that was like the truth from her perspective. So they still kind of leave it like hanging, like, he thought she was coming on to him and she thought he was coming on to her. And so the truth is probably still lies somewhere in between, which is makes it very Me Too. Because it's like, when people are in those situations, they have different perspectives on what was happening.
Yeah, because let's say like Riker's truth is the ultimate truth, right? And like she was coming onto him and he rejected her. In this trial, she like really goes after him hard. So why would she be doing that if she wasn't feeling like, I don't know, slighted? She's being vindictive at the very least, And at the worst, like, he was being creepy. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad we're talking about this. We're actually talking about the episode. This makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I think May's absolutely right. Like it's when Troy says she's not lying, because that would be the easy way out, right? Is for Troy to be like, I sense deception in her, which is Troy's whole reason for being on the show, is to say things like that. When she says she's not lying, she's just remembering it the way she remembers it. Yep. It makes the moral quandary of the episode a lot more interesting, right? They don't really do much with that, but it's at least it's there, that they're not like, well, she's clearly the villain. She made this whole thing up to frame Riker for some reason, and they don't go the easy way when it comes to that stuff.
Well, and then the third reenactment, it's from the assistant's point of view.
Yeah, right.
And in that version, Riker and the wife are going at each other.
Yeah,
like it's totally.
It's actually mutual.
Right, because she's telling the version that she heard from the husband.
Doctor.
Yeah.
She's like, this is the story he told me.
It's like secondhand news. It's the
Picard
definition of hearsay.
Picard even makes the point that it's hearsay, but these people have their own like justice system, so they're fine with hearsay.
Oh, and then this was the explosion.
Yeah. So it turns out that the scientist was trying to buy more time because he realized it's kind of it's a Scooby-Doo-ish kind of.
He's trying to sell his tech.
It's way more complicated than it needs to be, right? Because what the scientist was trying to do was throw the Federation off the scent of what he was really doing, which was trying to turn this energy thing that he developed into a weapon so that he could sell it to baddies like the Romulans or whoever. And so when he realized, or thought he realized, that Riker was like on to him, he decided to kill Riker so that the Federation would, I guess, just go away.
Using his tech.
Like they wouldn't conduct an investigation into why Riker was dead. But anyway. And then the experiment backfires, and it ends up killing the guy who was trying to kill Riker. So the whole thing was like, oh, he accidentally killed himself. No one was the killer. And then everyone just flies away.
And Riker gets to say engaged, so I guess he won.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he won. Like, it doesn't feel like a win, weirdly, like when he flies away. It kind of feels just like, it's still possible that Riker was a little bit creepy on that.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
That's why this episode's better than 6.8. They leave that ambiguous. They don't settle that issue.
I'm willing to believe that he was fooling around with a guy's wife.
Really? I like to think that that's a line that he would not cross.
Yeah, I don't think he would.
I think Riker is obviously pro-sex, like.
Yeah.
But he also strikes me as being somebody who has a code, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's a strong code too.
He doesn't fool around with cues. I don't need your fantasy women, he said last week. Yes. And he's, sometimes women come on to him for the wrong reasons. Like, remember when that woman was coming on to him and it was because she was trying to like seduce him or what? I forget why.
She's trying to be of service to him.
Yeah, that's right. She was like the servant, and he was like, I don't believe in having sex with servants, and I believe in equality. And you're like, oh, okay. Riker's not a sleaze.
Right.
Like, there's a huge difference between being, I love sex and I don't think there's anything wrong with it, and being, I take advantage of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But from from his perspective, she was like coming on to him. So say she was being like, he works my husband works a lot and it's kind of lonely, and maybe she kind of looked at him, and maybe she did initiate. I think he would have let her get a good one in before.
Yeah, what if her appeal was like, listen, you're a hunky Starfleet officer and I need this.
Yeah.
So
I also think that Riker just thinks every woman looks at him like that. Like, that's just how he sees the world.
Maybe, right? Yeah.
I don't think it was necessarily that woman was like, oh, she's coming on to me. That makes me uncomfortable. I think Riker just walks around going, everyone's coming on to me all the time. Because I'm Will Riker, God damn it.
Hence, gap in perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever the title was.
Matter of perspective.
Yeah, that thing.
I'm not saying these are good qualities. I'm just saying that's where I think his head was at.
Did we finish the corrections corner?
I had one more quick one. We were talking about the Riker lean, and I think we may have even talked about this at the time a little bit, but I looked into it a little more. The reason he does that and the reason he sits in those chairs the way that he does is that he had a back injury from when he was a young man, like a recurring, like back injury from he was a furniture mover, when he was trying to become an actor. Mm-hmm. And so he has this like precondition, and that's why he does that. So it's not like a character thing. It's like that he does that in real life because it's, helps with his back. So the putting his foot up on Data's thing is for that reason, and the chair sitting is for that reason. And when he started doing it on the show, the writers were like, "Oh, okay, well that's like a Riker thing," which is why they then sometimes have like Jean-Luc and Data and other people also do it sometimes when they're unconsciously imitating whatever Riker's doing.
Does he do that on other shows?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure I've ever seen him on anything but Star Trek, but I would imagine he probably does.
That'll have to be another.
Apparently, this has all been confirmed by Jonathan Frakes.
Nice.
And that's the end of Corrections Corner for episode 1.
Woohoo!
Beautiful.
Told you it was a short one.
Are we?
That's the end of the episode, everybody.
Yeah, wrap it up, man.
Thank you all very much for listening. Please go to iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts to rate, review, and subscribe. You can follow us on Instagram at Warped Podcast, or buy our merch at lunar_flare. You can email us at warpedthepodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at Warped Trek. Follow me at Host Warped. Follow Min to learn about our Dungeons & Dragons and Call of Cthulhu live streams and podcasts at Wet Maynard. Or go to patreon.com/warped, become a subscriber, and gain access to additional material and bonus episodes. And everyone should watch The Mitchells versus the Machines.
I heard it's good.
Came out on Netflix, well, yesterday in my timeline, but
yeah,
it's really good. It's so funny. You should watch it with your kids, Shawn.
I want to watch it.
It's very kid-friendly, and they would really like it. It's a lot of fun.
Recommendations.
Hey. My job.
No, please. That was a compliment. I love that.
That's great.
It's my favorite. That's my favorite jingle.
It's a good one.
Well, I don't know.
They're both pretty damn good. Yeah. It's like choosing your favorite child.
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy.
Tune in
sometimes.
next week. Ooh, you guys, next week, yesterday's Enterprise.
Oh.
And if you're a nerd listening to this, you just got shivers down your spine when I said that to you.
Mm-hmm.
One of the all-time great episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Top 5, maybe top 1. So tune in next week for that. And until then, my name is Matt.
I'm Shawn.
I'm Jake.
Aaron.
Me.
That mate.
Thank you for listening and good night.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha.
Oh, next week's is so good, you guys. When I saw yesterday, when I got done with Matter of Perspective, and I was like, Netflix was like, next week is yesterday's Enterprise. I was like, fuck yeah, yesterday's Enterprise.
Cool.